Okay, so welcome back. In this video, I want to show you how you can use if-else statement in programming, especially in C++ programming, which is a language which we are considering right now. So the if-else statement is also called as branching. So you have a condition, and now you have the program has to determine whether the condition is true. And if it is true, it has to run a certain statements. And also, while if it is false, it has to run certain lines of codes. So it's called the branching. We have a condition and we have to evaluate it. If it is true, we do this one. If it is false, we do this. So this is a syntax. We have a syntax here. And we have if, then we have a condition. Now, if this condition is true, we want to learn the true block. While if this condition is false, we learn the else, which is false block. Yes, so we have a condition. If this condition is true, we learn the true block and we ignore the false block. But if this condition is false, we ignore the true block and then we run the false block. So let's look for an example. So look at this question. We have to write a C++ program that will allow a user to enter his or her marks, and then the program should say whether it is a pass or whether it is a fail. So having seen this syntax and looking at the question, it means we have to allow a user to enter marks and then test if the marks is greater than 50. We say that's a pass. If it is less than 50, we say that's a fail. So go to CodeBlock and then create a new project. The console application. This is a C++, and let's say if statement. And then, yes, we are saving it to CPP on the desktop. Yeah, this one is also is very correct. And then we say next. We are using GNU GCC compiler, and then we finish up. And then our project is created right here. We go to sources and the main.cpp. Let's say continue. Okay, so this is the template, I mean the default C++ program right here. But now we can delete this line and then leave it blank like this to allow us to proceed with our question. Now look at this. This is a syntax. We have if, then a condition, and then statements and whatever. But before this, we have to allow a user to enter a mark or a marks. So it means we have to create a container to store a marks or a variable to store a marks, and then allow a user to enter that mark and store it in our created container. Then we start testing our condition. So let me declare a variable here. Let's say mark to store a user mark, and let me allow a user to enter the mark. So I say cout, and then I say please enter your marks, and then yes. So as the moment the user enter his or her marks, I store it directly to the created container, which is mark. So up to this moment, I have already allowed the user to enter a mark, and I have saved it in a variable called the mark. So next, I want now to test if the entered mark by the user is greater than 50 or not. And if it is greater than 50, I say it is a pass. Well, if it's less than 50, I say that's a fail. So I follow this syntax, if condition. So I write here if Then I will put a condition here. Now the condition is mark to be greater or equal to 50. That's a condition. Mark to be greater than or equal to 50. Now, if this is true, we have a true block. Else, if this is false, we have a false block. So now, if mark is greater than 50, that's a true block. So I would just say, congratulations, you have passed this test or exam. Else, if condition is not true, it means a mark is not greater than or equal to 50. It means it is less than 50. I would say, unfortunately, this is a fail, or unfortunately, you have failed. Okay, so let me write here, see out, just printing the message, see out, and then I will say, congratulations. Passed. So if mark is greater than 50, it means it will say congratulations, you have passed. Else, if mark is not greater than 50, I will say here, you have failed, like this. Then I will terminate this statement. Also, I will terminate this statement. Okay, so what else? Everything is okay now, so I can run this. So I build and run right here. Yeah, there is a mistake here. It's a expected semicolon before this one. Yeah, so this one was a semicolon and not a colon. So write it like this and then run again. Yeah, this time it's okay now. So you see, it allows me to enter a max. It allows a user to enter a max. Now, let's say a user is at 80, for example. Then you click enter. You see the message, congratulations, you have passed. So it means since this condition is true, because the max here is 80. So if max, it will ask, is 80 greater than 50? So the answer is yes. If it is yes, it means it will only deal with the true block. Because the answer is true, yes. So it only deal with the true block. And for the true block, we have congratulations, you have passed. And it will ignore the false block. See? Now let's try another max here. Let me run again. Let's try another max, let's say 30. So if I set, I enter 30, it will say, unfortunately, you have passed. So now our max is 30, so it will say, it will ask itself, is 30 greater than or equal to 50? So the answer is no. Since the answer is no, it means we are going to run the false block. So it means we skip the true block and then go to a false block where we have the message, unfortunately, you have failed. So the C++ program have skipped the true block because this is false, so it's going to run on the false block. Okay, so that's how if-else statement works on the C++ program. But that's a simple if-else statement. That's a simple if-else statement. But now let's look on the so-called nested if-else statement. The nested if-else statement. So the nested if-else statement, I will delete this for the time. Yeah. So the nested if-else statement is used when you have more than one condition to test. You have more than one condition to test. So the previous one was a simple if statement because we had only one condition. In this case, we have more than one condition to test. So we call it nested if-else statement. So we say if, then we have the first condition, that's condition 1. We test it. If it is true, it means the program will learn this statement here. But if this condition is not true, it means we're supposed to go to the false block. But unfortunately, we have another condition to test. So if the first condition is not true, the program will not learn this block, but it will go to test the next statement. So if the next statement is true, the next condition is true, the program will learn these statements. But if this condition is also not true, it means it is false. The program will check the next condition, and then the next condition, up to the end. So in this case, we have more than one condition to test. So if the first condition is false, we go to the second condition. If it is false, we go again to the next condition. If it is false, we go again to the next condition until the end. So we can have as many conditions as necessary or as possible. So look at this example. Write a C++ program that allows a user to enter his or her marks, and then the program should return. Okay, so this is not a pass. It's not a pass again. So the program should return his or her grade. You see, so the user is entering his or her marks, and then the program is going to use the nested if-else condition to return the grade of the student. So whether it is A, or it's a B plus, or it's a B plain, whether it's a C or D or F. So in that case, we are going to use the nested if-else statement. So in this case, we have more than one condition to test. Let's say A, if mark, let's say is greater than 8, and then B plus, B plus if if mark is it's greater than 70, for example, and then it is B where the mark is greater than 60, and then let's say C if mark is greater than 50, for example, and then D if mark is greater than 40. Otherwise, this one is F. So we have this condition. So the first condition will be, is mark greater than 80? If it is true, then we'll say that's A. If it is not true, we'll also test if mark is greater than 70. If it is not true, we'll test if mark is greater than 60. If it is not true, test whether mark is greater than 50. If it is not true, we'll test if mark is greater than 40. If it is not true, then automatically this one is F. So let's go back to code block. So instead of starting again from the beginning, I'll only delete this line. Yeah, this line. So we'll start from here. So this is a float, then mark. So we want to we will allow a user to enter a mark, and then we will store it in a variable called mark. And then we'll start testing our conditions. So we say if, then on the bracket we'll test if mark is greater than 80. So if this one is true, we'll say cout, and then Okay, sorry, so I want to use this one. So we'll say your grade, your grade is A. Your grade is A. And then I'll terminate this with semicolon. So if mark is greater than 8, the grade is A. But if this one is not true, we will test the second condition. If mark is greater than 70. So if this one is true, it means the grade here now will be B plus. You see, if it is true. Yeah. But if this one is not true, it means we will test this next condition, which if mark is greater than 60. So if this is true, we will say your grade is B. But if it is not true, it means we will test the next condition, which if mark is greater than 50. So if mark is greater than 50, if this condition is true, we'll say the grade is in C. But if it is not true, it means we'll be forced to test the next condition. Say if mark is greater than 40. So if mark is greater than 40, it means this is the grade now. The grade is D. But if it is not greater than 40, then we say else. So we are sure now if it is not greater than 80, not 70, not 60, not greater than 50, not greater than 40, it means it is less than 40. So we are sure that this one now is false, is F, it means. So we say your grade is in, we say your grade is F. So in this case, we have used the nested if-else statement. So, okay, so if this one, unfortunately, I was supposed to insert else if. So this one should be like this. Should be like this. Okay, so since this is the last one, we just say if. And then I will try to learn this. Yeah. So you say now it's learning. It means there is no errors here. So we are asking if mark is greater than 8, it means the grade is A. But if it is not greater than 8, it means we have to test if it will be greater than 7 to say it is B plus. If it is not, it means we have to test again if it is greater than 60, and so on and so on. So if I run this program, and let's say I say it allows a user to enter marks, let's say a user insert, let's say 90. So if I click enter, it will directly say your grade is A. So if a max is 90, so it will test, is 90 greater than 80? The answer here is yes. So if it is yes, it means it will run the true block, which is your grade is A. But if I put another mark here, let me run again. Let's say my mark is 53. My mark is 53. So you see it will say the grade is a C. So it will ask, if the mark is 53, it will say, is 53 greater than 8? So no, it will not learn this block here, and then it will test the next condition. If 53 is greater than 70, so no. It will also go to the next statement. If our 53 is greater than 60, so the answer is no. So it will skip again this one, and go to the next one. If 53 is greater than 50, so the answer here is yes, it will learn this statement. Your grade is in C. So that's how it works. But if a user insert, let's say 10, the mark is 10. So if you run this one, it says the grade is F. So it will ask, is 10 greater than 8? So the answer is no, skip this line. Is 10 greater than 7? The answer is no, so skip this line. Is 10 greater than 16? No, skip this line. Is 10 greater than 15? No, skip this line. Is 10 greater than 40? No, skip this line, and then learn your grade is F. Okay, so that's how if-else statement works. So we have started with a simple if-else statement, and then we have looked at the nested if-else statement. Okay, so we'll stop right here for now, and thank you.